A good old-fashioned Texas shootout between the Abbotsford Canucks and Texas Stars. It took a while, but the Abbotsford Canucks put a stranglehold on this series. Let's break it all down on Rink Wide Vancouver. What's going on? Irfaan Gaffar here inside the Rink Wide Studios at the Wall Center in downtown Vancouver alongside Tyson Cole. What a game. The Abbotsford Canucks beat the Texas Stars 5-4 in double overtime. They put an absolute stranglehold on this series. So much to get into. Game 5 will be on Friday night. To let you know that Rink Wide Vancouver is a presentation of Bet365. If you want to get in on the action for the Stanley Cup Final, also ended in overtime at Bet365. They got you from game props, player props, totals, and the money line. Whatever your bet's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. An official partner of the Stanley Cup playoffs. You must be 19 plus or older. You know about all our social channels. There's YouTube, there's X, there's everywhere else. Instagram, you can get at us. And me and Spittin' Picklets, Tyson Cole, you can do that. So another way you can get involved is by Super Chats on our YouTube channel. Super Chats partner is the BC Mental Health Foundation, and they've been changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. Tyson, a lot to get into in this hockey game. I have notes on the front of my page. I have notes on the back of my page. We've got a lot of stuff to break down in this hockey game. But the big one, the Abbotsford Canucks now 1 win away from the Calder Cup Finals.
How exciting is that? That is just so awesome. What a game this was, too. I mean, it looked a little rocky to start. I mean, took a couple early penalties, Abbotsford did. But, they managed to fight back. They were down 1. They didn't really look all that hot out the gate, I will say. Only 4 shots on goal throughout the first 2 periods. They did have 1-goal lead, though, heading into the intermission. But I got to say, I was a little worried. I was like, I don't know if you can maintain that level of game and actually come out victorious.
So I'm just going to run through the scoring in this hockey game because there was a lot of it. First period, the Texas Stars take the lead. Mate Blumel, who I haven't watched, obviously, full credit until I started doing these shows. Dude's an assassin.
Oh, he's unreal.
He just puts pucks in the net. That's all he does. Linus Karlsson ties the game there with his 9th of the postseason. Tristan Nielsen, Jack Becker in the second period, and then Cameron Hughes scored for the Texas Stars. Vittorio Mancini started the comeback for the Abbotsford Canucks. Tristan Nielsen, with his second of the game, was an absolute beauty. Justin Rikoian, I think that's how you say his name. Rikoian. There we go.
Yeah.
And then the overtime hero, Danila Klimovic. What an absolute effort on the game-winning goal. We have a super chat. Hugo Mugo, $5. Thanks for that. Whoop, whoops. That's the sound of another win. The Klim Reaper. I like it.
What a name.
I like it. I mean, look, I think we need to start with the lineup changes that Manny Malhotra made before the game. What'd you make both of them?
Well, just to start, I mean, Jonathan Lekaramaki coming out of the lineup, not too surprising. He had struggled quite a bit. Sammy Blais was a little bit of a surprise because we didn't really see him go down with any sort of injury. But the fact that Kambites came in and Klimovic obviously getting that disgusting overtime winner, he obviously made his impact in the game. But I also didn't mind Kambites. But to see those lineup changes coming into the night was a little worrisome.
Worrisome in a sense that they were messing with the lines, or worrisome in a sense that you didn't know, or you worry him in a sense that maybe you thought that taking Lekaramaki out would just that probably might shatter his confidence a little bit, but you get the win. So,
well, a little bit of both. Like, I think Lekaramaki might need that reset, so it might have been good for him. But Sammy Blais coming out of the lineup, I know he hasn't really produced offensively outside of the first round, but he's such a physical presence. Like, you could tell in the first 2 games that he was really intimidating the Texas Stars. So taking that out of the lineup is definitely a little scary. Like, okay, now the Stars can play with a little bit more aggression because they don't have to worry about Sammy Blais coming back on the other side. But also, yes, you alluded to the lineup changes. So I was I was a little confused because they broke up that top line of Baines, Mueller, and Carlson, and they were rolling. They were pretty much the only line that was really contributing forward-wise for Abbotsford during this during this series. They had 11 of the 13 forward points for the Canucks through the first 3 games. But I mean, Linus Carlson doesn't really matter because like he was still able to produce even if he switched up his line mates.
We're going to have a Linus Carlson stat that stands out. Let's see what that is. It's called the tease for a little bit later on in the show. Also, we'll get to our 3 stars as well. We're going to welcome in Dave Hall in a second as his segment is a presentation of the Pacific Toyota dealers. I want to tell you about the new Toyota BZ4X. It's 100% electric, backed by a peace of mind knowing it's a Toyota, sparked by the joy when you get it past a gas station, knowing that you don't have to stop because, yes, it is electric. You can access the HOV lane when driving, even when you're alone in the vehicle. All sorts of stuff. Can handle any terrain. So maybe you can take it from the city to the slopes or wherever you want to go. The BZ4X. When you choose the BZ4X, you can get up to a $5,000 incentive. And now you can finance a 2025 BZ4R XLE all-wheel drive from 0.99% for 36 months. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today as we welcome in our good friend, Dave Hall. Dave, we're talking about how many notes that we had. So let's see your notepad here. And just a wild end-to-end game for both the Abbotsford Canucks and the Texas Stars. But the big one, they're 1 win away from the Calder Cup final.
Yeah, I apologize. Whoever has to edit my farmies tonight. It's going to be like 2,500 words. So yeah, what a game. I mean, come on, Dina Klimovich there. Like that's just, you can't script that. I saw someone in my tweet that says betting new. I love it. But yeah, it was one of those overtimes where it's a little nerve wracking because they obviously carried a lot of that momentum, and I thought they were the better team in the second half of the game. I mean, I think they went over 40 minutes without allowing more than 1 shot. So, it was all Abbotsford, but that felt like a time that, things could just go lucky way for Texas. And, we're talking a different story, but no, huge win for them. And obviously you love to see it from Klimovich.
Let's start from the very beginning. I asked Tyson about it, but what'd you make of the lineup changes to start the game?
Yeah, as Tyson mentioned, I wasn't too surprised with the Lekkerimäki. He just, I don't want to use the word non-factor, but he just looks unconfident out there. And I thought, this is by far the longest season he's had in his career. So I think it's probably a little bit of either tiredness and then mixed in with some confidence issues there. So I thought it was good to get a little bit of a reset for him and just, get to see what the game looks like from the spectators box for the night. But Sammy Blais, I mean, we obviously don't know what it is. Is it an injury? Is it a healthy scratch? Obviously, Lekkerimäki took line rushes, whereas Sammy Blais didn't. So maybe that hints at an injury, who knows? But that one, although he's been a little bit undisciplined over the last couple weeks here, as it's already been mentioned, he's kind of been the heartbeat of this team, in a physical sense. So, it is a little bit of a weird one, but obviously it worked for them. And, I heard you mention just a little bit ago, about some of the line changes, and, some of they were odd, but I actually don't mind putting Klimovich with Archdeep Baines and Ty Mueller there, as they, that is a line that's rocking, and you kind of want Klimovich to get going offensively. That's where he's going to make his mark. So to put him on a line that is firing a little bit, I thought it was actually a pretty good idea from, and Carlson's going to get his points regardless. So to kind of give Klimovich a bit of a jump start there, I thought was a nice move by Manny.
We're used to kind of seeing Abbotsford start slow, especially in this postseason. And I mean, it was just only exemplified, as you tweeted out. They had 6 shots through first 35 minutes of play. Were you starting to get a little worried there that offense might be drying up?
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, we've been kind of used to this. This has kind of been the first period for most of the playoffs. So I'm just happy that they're coming out of it with a close game. To be honest, like it's just at this point you're not really surprised. You're just hoping they come out of it with a good score so that they can do what they do in the second half of the series, or the game rather, which they've done all playoffs. So yeah, a little bit nerve wracking, especially in a game where they have a chance to take a real stranglehold on the series. You were hoping for a little bit more oomph in their game, but it didn't come.
What did you think about the goaltender change there for Texas when Poirier left the game? He's been so good this postseason, but are you expecting them to kind of roll with Hellberg the rest of the way?
Ooh, I mean, even if they don't, I mean, Hellberg made a hell of a case to come back. He played really well. Like, that game could have been over a lot earlier, and Hellberg stood tall. I mean, he's a towering goalie, and especially right before Klimovic actually scored that goal, obviously Abbotsford had a 2-minute power play to start the period, and they had some 10-bell saves that he came up huge on. So, I like to think that they're probably going back with Poirier just because he has been their guy and he has played well up to this point. Like, he has been, he's down 3-1 in the series, but he hasn't been the reason that they're down 3-1. So I would expect them to probably go back, but like I said, Hellberg made a hell of a case to come back.
Let's talk about the no quit in this team. It just seems like throughout these playoffs and really in this season, they get down, they're not afraid, they go into hockey games and they do end up winning. So I think in these playoffs now, the Abbotsford Canucks, after leading after 40 minutes, are now 8-0 in this postseason. And I want to talk about the second period, actually. So Jack Becker ties the game. Cameron Hughes goes up 3-2. What'd you make of the team's response after that?
Yeah, boy, it's really easy to get down on yourself after that. Quick goals too, and the one thing that I don't know how many times. I mean, I swear it's just going to be my nickname from now on. But I've said this so often about Abbotsford. This team has just been resilient, and they've been resilient all season, and so. That's a moment where you can really, really get down yourself, and you probably got to credit Manny Malhotra for taking the guys, collecting them back, and just making sure that they're not getting down on themselves. And sure enough, they come back with a quick succession of goals on their own. So credit to them. I'm sure that's a Manny Malhotra adjustment right there. He's such a good speaker, and you could tell that he's so good with the guys that I would bet money that that's a Manny Malhotra just kind of telling them to slow the game down and just keep playing their game. There's tons of time left. I mean, that third goal from Cameron Hughes was just as lucky as you can get. I mean, Kirill Kudryavtsev doing a good job tying him up, bringing him to the ice, and it ends up just going off his back. So no, credit to them. That was a tough way to go in the second period, but they stuck with it.
A lot of good individual performances, obviously. The Klim Reaper, I'm just going to refer to him as that now because the nickname is actually unbelievable. What was high enough there. Artur Shilov's obviously made timely saves when he needed to, but Tristan Nielsen had himself a game. What have you made of his postseason and kind of the way that he's taken his game to the next level?
It's been quiet. He hasn't really put himself into the series or this playoffs rather like we'd want to. We know that he has the skill. Every once in a while he pops off for games like this. So it's nice to see. I mean, this team needs a collective performance to win games, and that's just what's been happening. Whether it's goals from the back end, whether it's a goal from Linus Karlsson, which they've got, they just keep on getting different players to kind of step up in big moments. And so for Tristan Nielsen to, that second goal that he had, that backhand, that's just he's doing it all himself. Like that's just a beautiful play to get him out of that funk that they were in that we just talked about. So yeah, like I said, I thought it's been a bit of a quiet playoffs for him so far, but I mean that's what you expect from a guy. He's been playing primarily bottom six role, although on a top line power play unit. He hasn't really been, handed the moments where he could really take over a game, but I thought he played really well tonight.
Sticking on the player topic here, Kirill Kudryavtsev. I feel like Brandon was talking about him all night, making good defensive plays, stepping up when he needed to. He's now got points in back-to-back games. What have you noticed from the rookie as this playoffs has progressed?
Well, what is he right now? I'm just looking at the thing. He was another +2 tonight, so I don't have the stats in front of me for the AHL, but he may be leading the AHL Calder Cups in plus-minus right now. He drew out the lineup midway through the Colorado series, and I think in his absence, you could really tell the lack of transition in Abbotsford's game. I just think you don't notice until he's not in the game just how smooth and confident he makes those passes out of his own zone. He's just so poised with the puck that he's one of those players that, he doesn't do anything super, I'll just say sexy, but he just does all the little things right. And he just doesn't seem to really make a lot of mistakes. So yeah, he's not the most overpowering guy. Yeah, he's not going to light up the score sheet, but he just makes smart plays, gets the puck out with clean, crisp passes that are smart. And, even though he's not a big guy, he knows how to use his stick. His stick is his best weapon, and he's just shutting players down. So I don't want to say he's like, obviously Vancouver's back end is going to have a lot of competition next year. So I don't think he's making that out of training camp, but he's going to give them something to think about. And I'd be shocked if he wasn't on the first line of cups of coffee in Vancouver next year.
Yeah, well, he got one earlier this year, and I mean Jacob just came in and said he's third in plus minus throughout the whole Calder Cup playoffs behind two Charlotte checkered defenders. Just one last question from me about Archer Seelovs. It's been an arty party pretty much the entire postseason run, but now he's allowed, 9 goals in his last 2 games? Are you starting to get worried that, maybe too many games, fatigue starting to set in for him?
Yeah, it could be a little bit of a fatigue. I mean, at the same time, we're also talking about one of the highest scoring AHL teams. You mentioned Blue Mel at the top of the show, and he was the AHL's leading goal scorer with 39 goals. Like, this team knows how to score. You got Cole Lind, you got Ritzkrovian. Like, this team is a high powering team, and I think personally, I thought they were kind of lucky to get out of the first couple games without those guys scoring goals. So I think, it's a little bit of fatigue maybe, and he's letting a couple goals, but I mean, a lot of that's coming on the power play where this team, that Blue Mel, he's a sharpshooter off that wing. So if you're going to give him that shot, he's going to score. So I just found, like, even last game when he let in 5 goals, I didn't really think it was his fault. 31 saves, and a lot of those goals were what we saw tonight in that Blue Mel goal, just cross ice, goals that they deserved, right? I still think Artie Seelovs is still playing a pretty composed game, even with the 9 goals against.
The fourth game in a series is always the hardest one to win. The Abbotsford Canucks have put themselves in a great position to do that come Friday night. But Dave, let me ask you this. Have you seen, we talk about the teams and evolution of teams when they start winning games in the postseason. What have you seen from this team, specifically in this series? Have they gotten better? Like, I felt after, maybe in the series is a little bit different, but I felt after they went down 3-2 in the second period, they completely took over the rest of the game, except for the final 18 seconds when they let that goal in. Like, overtime, they had their chances, and if Hellberg didn't stand on his head, things could have gone a lot differently. But what have you seen from this team, especially in this series, for them to be up in this position?
I think it's just when they've been doing all playoffs long, and I think their defense they've done a really good job at collapsing and just shutting out the guts of the ice. As I just talked about, their goal scorers, they're scoring a lot of goals from the perimeters or just shots that probably deserve to go in. So I think they've just done a pretty good job at shutting the inside of the ice down, and they're not getting nervous with themselves. Like, they're not letting the game take over from them, as we already talked about with that unfortunate stretch in the second period. They could have easily just buckled and just let the Stars take over for them, but they slowed it down, they got back into gear, and they just kept on going. And I just think resilience is just something that this team has just been so known for at least since January. And so I just think that's just what it is. I just think they've done a really good job at shutting down the guts of the ice, and with a team like this that can score at all areas of the ice, I think that's super important. So,
final one from me. Actually, not from me, from one of our listeners. Crazy 123. Baines is fighting it. Doesn't feel like he'll ever score in these playoffs. Missed opportunity in front of the net. It was an overtime one. Was brutal. I think you and I can both agree. We were also talking about this as well, that, he really is in fact fighting it. But what are some of the things that you've seen that he's doing to mask the lack of scoring or production offensively?
Yeah, I mean, well, for starters, he's got what is it, 11 assists on the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So he's up there. He's one of the league leaders in assists for the playoffs. So he does a lot of the little things. Like, if you watch him, like he works hard on every shift, right? He's in the corners. He's driving play. Yeah, he's not scoring, but he's making plays happen out there. So that's why you got guys like Linus Karlsson that he's been playing with primarily over the last couple of games. So those are the guys that are going to finish, where he's never really, you want him to score the goals, but he's really thrived always as a playmaker. So yes, we want him to score. I'm sure he's really, like, I think it was last game where Linus Karlsson deflected one of his shots that I think we all thought was Archie Baines. So I think we're all we're all happy for him there. So he still hasn't got that monkey off his back, but you know what? He's just doing all the little things right, that I just think he's driving play and really creating space for others. That's been the main process for him. So yeah, you want to see him score, but I think he's doing everything just fine on the other end.
Dave, thank you very much for this. We appreciate it, and make sure to read the Farmies, as we apologize to any editor that has to go and sift. Through. That's you?
That's my job.
I got to get you out of here at a reasonable hour then. But yes, Dave, thank you very much. We'll talk to you Friday night.
Yeah, I may hit 3,000 words, so I apologize. I'm just
dang it.
Thanks a lot, guys.
That's Dave Hall. Obviously does some great work on Canucks Army. You can read his stuff on the Farmy, covers the Abbotsford Canucks. Obviously, look for his stuff, and I look through a lot of his stuff when helping to do these shows. A lot of interesting stuff there. Doubling down a little bit on Archdeep Baines, Tyson, as we kind of make our way through this show. He's got 11 assists, so he is up there. But I think you and I can echo it. He kind of really does look like he's fighting it a little bit, doesn't he? He's
absolutely snake bitten. There's been so many opportunities, just especially in these last few games. Like, while his line has been so dominant in the offensive zone, you figured he'd be able to pot one in. We were so excited last game when we're like, okay, finally, as soon as he gets that goal, maybe they'll start to come in spurts. But yeah, he is just battling right now. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, you have a sitter right in the slot there and you fan on it. Like, you gotta know that guy's in his head. He's overthinking it. He's gripping his stick a little too tight. He can't bury it.
Let's talk a little bit about Artur Shilovs. You asked Dave about it and the fact that it's been 9 goals in the last 2 games. I'll counter argue that with, if Artur Shilovs is not in net, it's a lot more goals for any other goaltender.
Yep, I can agree with that for sure. But this is also the longest stretch of games where Shilovs has played consecutively. So, I mean, it is a fair question to wonder if he is starting to get fatigued, because he's never done this before. He's never played this long stretch. Yes, Texas is a great offensive team. They had the leading goal scorer in the regular season. They've got a few of the leading point scorers during this playoff. So he's done a great job. And to only allow 2 goals in the first 2 games is pretty good. Now that they're back on home ice, he just needed a little bit more of goal support. And that's what he got tonight. And he didn't get that in game 3.
I will counter argument all of that with, they're up 3-1 in the series. They have a chance to close out and go to the final Friday night. Artur Shilovs, yes, I mentioned it. It has been an arty party, so to speak. He's going to get his rest. I know this game went a little bit long for probably everyone's liking. He's going to get his rest over the course of the next little bit here. You know, have the bananas, get your vitamins up, get all that, maybe an IV or 2, and get yourself ready for a closeout game. But as I mentioned before, the 4th one is the hardest one to win.
I'm not trying to talk bad about Artur Shilovs. He's been phenomenal. You got to play a little devil's advocate. I mean, he's been so good so far.
No, man. You just came in and was like, yeah, he's played too many games. He looks tired.
Oh no,
dude, just seemed to be up 3-1 in this series. I want to take a look at our 3 stars here, presented to you by Greta Bar YVR. The 3 stars in the building. I just have to find it here. The 3 stars in the building were Danila Klimovich, Tristan Nielsen, and Cameron Hughes. You have any beef with that in the building?
No, I mean, I feel like they got to throw one of their guys their bones, so not bad to see Cam Hughes in there.
Rink Wide Vancouver's 3 stars. Ours, a little bit different. We agree with the Klim Reaper. Tristan Nielsen, 2 goals, 2 shots. And Linus Karlsson, a goal and an assist, and another monster 5 shots on net. Karlsson is an interesting one because the more we get into this postseason and the more that he plays, the more and more from the top down, they look at it, and that little pencil that's circled in for a roster spot that could be turning into pen pretty soon for Linus Karlsson if he keeps this up.
Well, how could it not? Yeah. I mean, you're one of the leaders in the entire AHL in points so far this postseason run, leading his team. And you can't even say that he was just riding, a hot line with Baines and Mueller. He left that line this game. He was up with Sasson and Di Giuseppe, and he drove that line, and he still got 2 points. So I think it's definitely in pen now. I mean, the Canucks are going to have to get, pretty crafty with some of their 4th liners, a couple guys who aren't making too much money to help the rest of the team. But I think Karlsson's definitely played his way on the team.
Yeah, I think so too. And I just think that he's proving that he can do it at both levels, up and down the lineup. If he plays on the 3rd or 4th line here in Vancouver, that's okay. But he's now showing that I can put the puck in the net at an elite level in the postseason. And Klimovich, obviously, with the beauty to score the goal, and Tristan Nielsen, again, our 3 stars here at Rink Wide Vancouver, presented by Greta Bar, a great place to watch the sports and on all the big screens. But they also have parties where you can do some team building. Maybe we'll go there one day and do some team
Right
building
after this?
for Rink Wide Vancouver. So if you're looking to get your group out of the office or do some corporate fun, or you're looking for a place to go and gather, consider Greta for all the arcade games. The Mario Kart's awesome there. So is the basketball, street food menu, and weekly drink specials. Greta Bar, it's the place to be. 50 West Cordova. Greta Bar, let the games begin. We thought that it was going to go into 3 overtimes, whereas another game would begin and end for the Vancouver or for the Abbotsford Canucks and the Texas Stars. I just want to get into our chat here. A lot of people in our YouTube chat, make sure you throw a like there. We appreciate your feedback, and obviously the show isn't possible without you. Moderator UK, there's a spa about 5 minutes from the arena. Can we crowdfund for Artie to have the day there tomorrow? I'm sure they're already on it.
Hey, I'll send money. I'll go help. I'll pitch in.
Why? You want him to come out of the net?
No. Go in the spa, get help, not get healthy, but take a little breather, relax.
Because he's been playing too much.
Might be playing a little too much, but hey, gotta ride him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 604E on Instagram. Oilers and Abbotsford to win both cups is a lock. It's going to be interesting. The fourth one, like I've mentioned to Dave, it's always the hardest one to win. You ask any player that talks about it that's played in the postseason, it is. So let me ask you this. What type of effort do you need from the Abbotsford Canucks in the fourth one to close it out? Because you can't have the same start as you had here in Game 4.
No, definitely not. But that, like I said to Dave, that's something we've seen all series long, and a lot of the postseason too. They get off to slow starts. It's kind of like they're feeling out how the other team's going to play night in and night out, and then they really come alive in the second and third period. But we didn't see that. So in the second period, what we're going to need to see for them to win that fourth one. I mean, they got 3 chances to do it. Just hotter starts. Like, I know that that's not their MO this postseason, but let it be. Make it happen. Put the pedal to the metal against them, push them on their heels, and then they won't have a response to that because they haven't seen that out of the Abby Canucks so far.
When you look at Manny Malhotra, and I know that we give him so much credit and so much for good reason for the way that he's taken this team and the players have gone up and down the lineup, guys making their debuts, guys, playing in the American League for the first time. We saw him snap a little bit in this hockey game, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And it was because of a penalty that wasn't a penalty, that should have been a penalty, but it ended up being, by the way, there was 10 penalties in this hockey game, but how many power plays were there?
4.
Yeah.
4.
So it's just a weird game by the Zebras.
Yeah, there were so many offsetting penalties. Let's just go back to that one on Sasson. Ref puts his hand up, and goalie Seelovs goes to the bench, and then they continue to play 5-on-4 because it was already 4-on-4, correct?
Yep.
And when do you ever see that where they let it get to a point where the goalie goes off the ice and then they just overturn the call? I have never seen that. Have you?
Nope.
I didn't understand that.
I don't think that Manny's ever seen that. That's why
that's why it was so
snappage on the bench.
Yeah. That was weird. I mean, it was a little bit of a ref show. Like, instead of, I feel like it was and it wasn't, because they didn't want to make it about them and like give each other, both teams, a bunch of power plays. They're like, okay, if it's a toss up, we'll just take both guys just so nobody really gets the advantage. But it was super odd to see so much 4-on-4 hockey, especially in the playoffs.
Well, I think the best thing about that too is, you get the emotion from the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And then for a coach that's very stoic and doesn't really have that much emotion behind the bench, usually pretty calm, cool, and collected, he can fire up his guys a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Excited to ask him about that,
Yeah, absolutely.
See what his thoughts were on that and why losses it.
Well, maybe you won't, because if they win on Friday, then we're just talking about the final.
That's true.
They got to get through Friday, though, so we'll get to that. Let's get to our stat that stands out here at Rink Wide Vancouver, a presentation of Bogey Juice. And our stat that stands out is about Linus Karlsson. Hey, he's got 4 multi-point games, 4 multi-point outings in his last 5 games.
He's been carrying the load offensively. Yeah. This goes back to the Colorado series, Game 5. Carried them there, and he continues to do it throughout this series as well. What can you really say about him? We've talked about like how he's turning his pencil into pen for that Vancouver spot next year.
It's funny because you go through these games and through these shows and you talk about, Artur Shilov's always going to be there near the top of on the game on the 3 stars or someone that we're going to talk about. And Linus Karlsson is obviously slowly becoming or is that cemented piece for this Abbotsford team. But what have you made of his emergence? Playing up when he did at the end of last season kind of proved that. And I think that was a springboard for him to go and have the postseason that he's having right now.
Yeah, it gave him a little bit of confidence. Like, oh, hey, I got that little taste. And now he's acting like a leader, leading the team offensively. He leads the AHL in goals, I believe. And yeah, his emergence has just been impressive to watch. And it's not like these are coming in important moments of the game. Like he had that overtime game-winning goal against Colorado. So I'm just impressed because you haven't really seen that out of him. And I feel like after that first series where Sammy Blais was kind of carrying the load and then he slowed down a bit, I feel like Linus was like able to step in and take in that lead offensive role that somebody needed to fill.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what our stat that stands out is brought to you by Bogey Juice.
You see it right there.
Right there.
By my shoulder. It's crafted with a I love that word. Tantalizing blend of crisp apple flavor and kickin' ginger for a refreshing zing. This read is awesome. Every shot of Bogey Juice is a hole-in-one for your taste buds, sweetened to perfection with simple syrup and made even smoother with top-shelf vodka. It's the only juice that's guaranteed to make your golf buddies beam with envy despite the score it refers to. Check out bogeyjuice.com for more and use promo code SP15 for 15% off Bogey Juice product and merch. The Canucks hope to send the Texas Stars home with some Bogey Juice on Friday so they can begin their golf season. As we continue this show here, the Abbotsford Canucks up 5-4 in this hockey game in double overtime. Now lead the series 3-1 with game 5 beginning on Friday night. We'll be here right after that. Dave Hall, obviously, check out his Farmies online, as it's always been some great stuff. You have to edit it, so there's going to be a long night for you. I can definitely assume that.
That's all right. Dave does great work, great coverage. It's a fun read, even though I watched the game.
Yeah, I kind of want to get back into the chat a little bit. Obviously, 99 scored 92 says it was weird, never seen a penalty called back. Talking about what we were talking about, the Max Sasson call. Rig says, can we talk about the Stars goalie? Hellberg needed help. Hellberg did need help.
Yeah, Abbotsford turned it on, like I kind of alluded to earlier, where Abbotsford starts slow, but then as the game goes on, they kind of turn up the gas a little bit. And I mean, you saw that firsthand. Like you were saying earlier, they kind of dominated the third period. I want to pull up the shots here because I believe, so Texas was leading shots first 2 periods by a wide margin, and then Abbotsford outshot them in the third period, only 6-4. But then if you look at overtime, 13-5 in that first overtime period. He did need help. He wasn't getting any of it, but that was because Abbotsford was just full pedal to the metal. They wanted that game, and then they got it in the second overtime when they outshot them 4-0.
Yeah, the goalie change was interesting. I mean, he's a 34-year-old, played everywhere, right? He's playing the NHL, the American League, played in Europe, and now, backing up this team, trying to get to the Calder finals. So what would you do if you are the Texas Stars head coach? You ride the guy with the hot hand who gave up 1 goal, which is an incredible individual effort to score, or do you go back to Poirier?
I'm always in the belief that you dance with the guy that got you there.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go back to Poirier. I know that Hellberg kind of was a starting goalie in the regular season, but I don't know if that necessarily matters in the playoffs. I mean, Poirier was so good before. He had a .940 save percentage in the first 3 games against Abbotsford. So he can do it against them. So, maybe give him a little bit of a break and then go right back to him. I wouldn't make the change.
I ask Jeff all the time when we do these shows after Canuck games, what'd you like, what'd you hate from this outing? So here we're co-hosting, my co-host for the first time, and obviously keeping the seat warm for Jeff when he does get back from his well-deserved vacation. What did you like and what did you hate from the Abbotsford Canuck victory here?
Well, I liked the depth scoring that they got. I mean, they got three goals from guys that weren't on that top line that was carrying for the first 3 games. I mean, and beautiful goals, by the way. Tristan Nielsen's individual effort, the Klim Reaper's individual effort, and even on the power play there, because I believe Nielsen scored the opener. It was a good play by Kudryavtsev to get the puck over to him. I believe it was Baines who picked it up in the corner, or Water. It was Waters. Waters picked it up, a loose puck, fed it over to Kudryavtsev, and then found Nielsen. So the depth scoring, that's something that they're going to need. They weren't going to beat this high-scoring Texas team with only doing it with one line. So getting those depth contributions is definitely what I liked. What I didn't like was just their slow start. And I mean, we've seen that forever. I keep talking
with the
about
big club too.
Yeah, no doubt. But 6 shots through 35 minutes, that ain't going to cut it. I mean, they had 2 goals and they were nice goals, but I thought that they were pretty lucky to be up when they were. They obviously turned it on and went into the second period with a 3-2 lead. So, but why can't they just do that more and earlier?
Yeah. Dave Hall had a great tweet. So the Abbotsford Canucks had just 1 shot through 15 minutes of the second period. And then they closed. They realized that they needed to shoot the puck more. They closed with 7 shots and 2 quick goals, take a 4-3 lead after 40. Final shot totals in the hockey game were, I believe it was 34 for Abbotsford, 31 for Texas. So they did turn it on eventually, but it's still lulls, I think, in the game that are big. It's either the slow start or it's the slow start coming out of the period, the first period. And that's something that we've grown accustomed to here watching. And if you're a fan watching this show, you've obviously watched some Canucks post-game shows, you definitely know that has been a key for the Vancouver, whether it's Abbotsford or the Canucks, whether it's Vancouver or the Abbotsford teams.
Well, I have to switch it to you now.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I'm in your chair. What'd you like? What'd you hate?
Probably didn't like the lack of shots in the second period. You have a chance. Look, I know what the end result was, but you do have a chance to assert some dominance on this game and come out with a little bit more urgency. I think that was something that they lacked right from the start of the hockey game. I think that, the golden opportunity from the very beginning, forget about what happened in overtime, is to get to 3-1, to put a stranglehold on this series. And then now I'm going to contradict myself 100% by saying I love the fact that they ended up doing it at some point, right? Mm-hmm. You figured it out after. You got that lull to start the game. You didn't like the way that you played through the first 20, probably 40 minutes, but you get yourself to a position where you can go into overtime. I mean, they were 19 seconds away from winning that game in regulation. And then obviously you have to take it to double overtime. So I do like the fact that is where we are right now. And that's 3-1 with a lot of momentum. Zero pressure now. I mean, that Texas Stars team, for as good as they are, the Abbotsford's got a stranglehold on this series. As I like saying, Dallas or Texas is looking to stave off elimination, right? So that's one of the things that they're going to have to do, and they've got to go and look at it. I mean, their coach can complain all he wants after the game. I'm sure that he's going to. We've seen in the press conferences that has definitely happened so far this series. But I want to get to the AHL scoreboard. Let's look around the league a little bit. If the Vancouver Canucks, Abbotsford Canucks, do win this series, they'll be facing off against the Charlotte Checkers, who took care of business in the Eastern Conference Final. What'd you make of that series?
It's quick.
Yeah.
It's quick and done. And I was surprised because Laval were the best team in the regular season in the AHL, and then just to get steamrolled by Charlotte. Now, Charlotte's not a pushover. They finished 4th. But just some of the games, like they were considerably all blowouts, all double-digit wins, or 2-goal wins, except for the last game, game 3. That was a closer one. Came down to 2-2 with a kind of a crazy ending goal. I don't know if you've seen it, but
this goal is ridiculous.
Yeah. A bad kind of poke check. Goalie comes out, and then ex-Edmonton Oiler
Jesse Puljujarvi
gets the winner.
Out of all people, him?
I know. Crazy. What was the goalie thinking there? Why do you go out like that? But then at the same time, you see your goalie out as the defender. Why are you diving and trying to knock it away? Like, if your goalie's coming out, let him do that. If you know you're not going to get 100% on it, then I'd say just let your goalie have it, because what ends up happening is he deflects it out of the goalie's way, but not far enough to get in the corner, and it goes right on Puljujarvi's stick for the game-winning goal.
AHL scored presentation of the Vancouver Canadians. They're on the road this week. Back home on June 10th, open up a homestand against Spokane. June has all sorts of great promotions and giveaways, including Dog Day at the ballpark, where you can bring your pooch to the park. For the full game schedule, promo schedule, and tickets, check out CanadiansBaseball.com. Abby with the chance to close out this series and advance to the Calder Cup final on Friday night. Interesting times here for the Vancouver Canucks organization as a whole. You know, you look at the lack of success that we can basically call after a very successful last season. Mm-hmm. You have to feel good about yourself organizationally with what you're seeing in the pipeline, though.
Absolutely. I mean, upper management has to be excited because they've kind of built throughout this whole thing. They wanted to build through the AHL, build through the draft, and developing players, and now you're starting to see that. I mean, with all the Abbotsford success. So it's good. And I mean, for the year that Canucks fans have had, it's kind of nice to see them one win away from the Calder Cup finals.
Let's get to a couple more super chats. Canuck fan 94, $20. That's a great super chat for the BC Mental Health Foundation. Yeah, as fun as this playoff run has been to watch so far, I've been very disappointed with Lekkerimäki. All due respect to him, but you think our top goal-scoring prospect would be putting up more goals and contributing more. I 100% agree with that. I think that, you know, he's a guy that's proven he can score in the league. He scored in the NHL at the NHL level, albeit it was a very small sample size. But when the games get bigger, those are the types of players that you need. Those are the types of players that you want. You want your young prospect to be able to go out and fly. You want your young guys to be able to be leading by example. No disrespect to Linus Karlsson. He's having an absolutely amazing postseason, and he's probably going to be on the Vancouver Canucks come next season. But this organization, not just this team in Abbotsford, the organization needs more from Jonathan Lekkerimäki.
Absolutely. I mean, he's their goal scorer. He's their goal-scoring prospect, and he hasn't done that. He has 1 goal in 12 games so far. But my biggest gripe about it all is he's a volume shooter. I mean, in the regular season, he averaged 3.4 shots on goal per game at the AHL level. He's not shooting. He has 1 game over 2 shots the entire of all 12 games. He has 17 in the entire postseason so far. And over his last 4 games, or 3 games, I'll say, of this series, he had 1 shot a game. That's it. Yeah. That's not, how are you supposed to produce as a volume shooter if you're not shooting at all?
I mean, look, we've had this song and dance with another player in the Vancouver Canucks organization all season long. I'm not saying that this is getting to that level, but there are signs, right? I mean, the games get bigger, the player's not showing up. You mentioned the 1 goal in 12 games. You volume shooting. Is there an injury? I think that Manny Malhotra knows exactly what he's doing by sitting him. I think sometimes watching the game does a lot more help than harm for certain players, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But if you're Manny Malhotra, your team just won, whoever scores the game winner, he's not coming out of the lineup.
No, I'm not changing anything. You don't mess with the winning lineup. And I mean, sure, you probably were just thinking it'd be a 1-game hiatus for Lekkerimäki. Like, hey, you know, watch a game, see how it all plays out upstairs, because that'll help sometimes, you know, just watching the game, seeing it from a farther view, and then you'll be able to come back and produce. But you can't mess with the winning lineup, and with how he was playing, he doesn't necessarily deserve to get back in either.
Well, the Abbotsford Canucks are 1 win away, like I've mentioned, from the Calder Cup final. That game goes on Friday night. I'll be here post-game. Dave Hall will be here post-game. You will be back on Sunday.
Game 6.
Game 6. You'll be in this chair Sunday. Maybe you won't be in this chair Sunday. We'll see. We'll figure it out. We'll see what happens. But Tyson, thank you so much for this. As always, appreciate it. As the Abbotsford Canucks beat the Texas Stars 5-4 in double overtime in Game 4, Game 5, going on Friday night. If you've been watching Rink Wide Vancouver.